D-Day, baby! Yes, it is finally dyno day for my 2001 Trans Am WS6. In the last video, which I literally just finished, we got the C6 Z06 replica wheels on this thing. Haven't even seen it yet outside because I'm waiting for morning, but the dyno day is, well, D-Day is technically tomorrow. Dyno day is tomorrow, but we still got a decent amount to do to make sure that we're ready to go on the rollers tomorrow. Starting with, in the last video, we have an oil leak from my smooth valve covers here. I pinched the gasket. The cheap aftermarket gasket is kind of flimsy, and I guess it fell out when I was finagling the valve cover back there. So we got to pull that off, make sure the gasket's not damaged, and then reset it or replace it to make sure we don't have any oil leaks. We need to build a catch can system, which we're going to talk about right now. If you guys recall, when I made these valve covers, I welded some AN fittings on the back there. So here's my dyno list. A lot of this stuff we got done in the last video, most of that being brakes and calipers and rotors and wheels and tires and all that. But a lot of it we still have to do. Starting with a catch can so we can vent our crankcase gases. So this is just a cheap Amazon catch can. I've used this on, I don't know, a bunch of builds at this point, or a similar one. So you just mount this wherever you want, then run a 10 AN to each valve cover. And my plan right now is, there's not a ton of room in this engine bay. I think I'm gonna mount something like this down here in this area. And it's a real shame these fittings are on this side, or the bracket is on this side, because if I could just screw this basically right into the head right there, we'd be mint. But obviously the fittings need to go back there. So I'm gonna figure out some way to mount this in this area. Two straight fittings right off the back. One is gonna go to that port right there with a 90. The other one's gonna loop all the way around to that port back there with a 90. Should be, hopefully, really simple. So that's the catch can. The other big one is injectors. And I've got my fuel rail from the extra SVT Cobra engine that I've had laying around for a while. And some of you might be saying, well, why you got these factory Cobra 39-pound injectors? And the reason is, factory LS1 injectors, I think, are 24 pounds, and most cam setups and or long tube setups, you're gonna run out of fuel, with that setup. You need a set of aftermarket injectors. I ordered a set of Bosch 42-pound injectors like a week ago, and the eBay seller dragged his feet for like 4 days before shipping them out. So long story short, they're not gonna be here in time, so I had to scramble, come up with a plan. I remembered I had these EV6 39-pound injectors hanging around, so I'm going to use those little EV1 to EV6 adapters, and then we should be able to pop those in. Might even do that on the dyno, or at least on the trailer tomorrow, because we're not tuned for it, but that's the plan for those. So those are the two major things. There's a couple other minor things we got to get to, but those are going to take a little while, so I'm going to quit yapping. Let's get to work. Hit those rollers. All right, good morning. It is the next day. Stayed up pretty late last night, thrashed, got the catch can done, fixed the valve cover leak, wrapped up a couple of other things, cleaned up the plug wires a little bit this morning. I think we're ready for the dyno, but I just wrapped up the wheel and tire video, which was the one before this. And now we need to take this thing for its first test ride, make sure nothing's rubbing. I'm a little bit worried about those rear wheels because of the lowering springs and the spacers we have on there. And yeah, just make sure that this thing doesn't overheat, everything works, you know, we'll see. But I'm kind of rushing right now to make my dyno appointment, so I don't even have my windshield mount here, so you guys are gonna kind of have to bear with me. But let's get this done, go to the dyno. All right, scanner is hooked up. Let's take this thing down the road. That Speed Engineering exhaust sounds good. No rubbing or anything yet. Bit of drone, but you know, 6-speed. Just put it in a gear that doesn't drone. Everything feels good so far. Don't hear anything rattling, knocking, scraping. Let the suspension settle a little bit and go take a look. We'll have to do that bedding in procedure for the brakes later, once this thing's tuned. Heat is nice and hot. Look how windy it is today. It's insane. Okay, railroad tracks, check. Oh, wow. There's proof of the wind right there. Man, dare I say these Strano springs ride better than stock. This thing rides very, very nice. Super smooth. Here's a parking lot. Go over some bumps. Man, it's hot in here. That? Are we on fire? What is that? We have another oil leak? Yeah, we do. Oh, it's pouring. Damn it. Can you see that? These gaskets are awful. Alright, well I guess we'll let this thing cool. Take a look at that. Damn. Well, everything else seems good. The car's running cool. Sounds great. Ride height, check. I didn't hear any rubbing. I think we're gonna be good. Man, what a bummer. Yeah, there's just pooling oil down on the header there. Okay, well, don't catch fire. Let's cool down. That's not where valve cover gaskets go. These things. Hopefully we can make a stock one work. Well, that was once again an absolute thrash. Down to the wire, getting this thing on the trailer. Dyno appointment's at 3. It's about an hour and a half away, and it is 1:34 right now, but got it done. I was hoping to, you know, maybe take a shower, chill for a little bit, but I threw everything that we need in the truck to hopefully swap injectors, you know, right before we go on the dyno. got it strapped down. I think I have the oil leak taken care of. I was able to get a stock Velcro style gasket to work in there, even though it was kind of loose. I like put some RTV in there to help kind of glue it per se, or at least hold it until I could finagle it half under the firewall where these stupid motors are located. And I think I got it to stop, but it was leaking a lot. There was a significant puddle. I'm not sure if the seal fell into the rocker area like as I was pulling it out, or if it was just like that the whole time and therefore it was just puking oil out onto the header. Thankfully it didn't catch on fire or anything. I think I got it sealed up, and now I'll just have to wipe up some stuff on the underside when we're done. But we should hopefully be good to go there. Got the Cobra injectors and the adapters in the box, a couple tools like an 8mm and a 10mm to just pop the fuel rail off, hopefully pop in 8 of those while the tuner is loading a startup tune. That's how it's going to go in a perfect world. We'll see how it goes, but we got about an hour and a half to get down there now, and it's a beautiful day, but it is so windy. That's why I didn't really film getting it on the trailer or anything. Like the camera tripod almost tipped over a couple times. I don't know if you guys will even be able to hear anything. I'm getting blown around on the highway right now. But we'll get down there and hopefully see how this thing does on the dyno. Hammer down. She is on the dyno with Ford injectors, Terminator injectors. See what she does. immediately. Look at all the packing. There's not going to be any mufflers left by the time we're done with this. All right, we did it. Dyno is done. Car didn't blow up. Put down good power, but it is pitch black out right now and I am smoked. I've been thrashing on this thing way too much the last 2 days between everything else going on in my life. So I'm gonna go home, chill out. Tomorrow morning we'll get it off the trailer, take it for a drive, and we'll discuss. Have a good night. You guys okay? I swear we blew all the packing out of the muffler, and this thing got louder on the dyno. Sounds so good. Start though, she fires right up. It is the next day. Let's get this thing in the garage. We'll talk about briefly why we're not immediately taking this thing out on the road and giving her the beans. All right, let's debrief on the dyno session. So I apologize that I was thrashing so hard on this car to get ready for the dyno that I missed some stuff. So we'll go over the catch can and all that other stuff that we did the other night in a little bit and how that came out. But we made it to the dyno. I had to go out late at night, get my trailer out of a snowbank. We got like 10 feet of snow this year and I had to get it out before it started melting and it became a sloppy, muddy mess over there. So I did that. We thrashed till late at night. We went on a test drive, almost burned the car down with an oil leak. Eventually got it on the trailer and we got down to the dyno. I swapped the injectors while Mike, the tuner, was writing the tune, or writing a bass tune. So we swapped in the OEM 39-pound Ford SVT Cobra injectors in. No issues. We went to pull the car on the dyno and there was a puddle of oil below the car. So I started looking around, kind of panicking. You know, is the valve cover still leaking? Did I just drive 2 hours and stay up way too late for nothing? And I'm gonna have to go back with my tail between my legs and then come all the way back once I fix the oil leak. So all that stuff was kind of going through my head. Long story short, it ended up just being that the gas that we lost when I was swapping the injectors had kind of washed away all the oil that had leaked before. So we got it on the rollers, it smoked a little bit, kind of burned all that off, and then we were good to go. Car stayed cool, sounded insane, shot flames. I think we ended up at like 429 horsepower and like 400, I'll put the dyno sheet up right now, or the picture of the computer. 429 horsepower, 400 some odd foot-pounds of torque, which is crazy power for a cam-only LS1. To review, this is the TIC Torque Master Stage 2 cam. Speed Engineering 1 7/8 long tube headers, true duals all the way out the back. It's a stock unported LS1 intake, stock 241 heads. I did the Holley 92mm throttle body. That's pretty much it. I was expecting around, if we were lucky, 400 horsepower. So this is a very, very strong cam only LS1 and I'm psyched about it. I was talking to Mike a little bit about it. He thinks that what separates this build from a lot of other cam only builds is the throttle body and the true dual exhaust, just really allowing this thing to breathe in and breathe out. Made awesome power, sounds great. Like I said, I think it got louder. There was so much fiberglass and muffler packing blowing out the exhaust that it sounds nasty at idle right now. So I'm fired up about it. Thrashed all week, got it done, got home late Friday, and collapsed on my couch. So we're good, we're back now. But the reason I'm not driving it is sometimes those late night thrashes have consequences. One of which is we were strapping the car down and Mike's like, hey, your shock is completely loose over here. So clearly what happened was late at night, maybe it had a miller or two, potentially, and I forgot to completely bolt the shock down. It's like I started them, went over to the bench to grab the impact or something and said, ooh, a fine Pilsner, and then just never came back to it. So we got to do that. Also, when I was strapping the car down, rushing to get out of here, I hooked a strap over the rear end, and I think I caught an ABS sensor or something, because when I went to pull the car off the trailer at the dyno, ABS light was on and the TCS light was on, which you guys might have just saw. And Mike was under there strapping the car down on the dyno, and he's like, hey, this plug is just pulled out, so we got to look at that. So I want to look at those two things, give the car a quick once over, and then let's take it out and rip on it. The thing runs awesome, sounds awesome, makes good power. But yeah, cammed LS1 running on Terminator 0304 Cobra injectors. If that's not Chris Sullivan, I don't know what is. What do you know? Made another car that's too low to fit on the lift. Always do this. Okay. Yep, confirmed. Shock mounts are loose. Easy enough fix. Coming over here, look at all that oil. Man. It's all over everything. So we'll do our best to clean up this K-member, get everything cleaned up. Everything else looks good until you get back here, and Boom. When I was rushing to strap this thing down, I just ran the strap right over the axle, which you probably shouldn't do. And it looks like we pulled out a plug, which looks like it goes right there. So hopefully that takes care of our ABS light, which I was worried about because I thought maybe the tire size was making the computer unhappy. But clearly it's just because there was a plug that was completely ripped out. There we go, fixed. So that should take care of that. So let's tidy up those oil leaks, tighten those shock bolts. Got a couple other things on the bench here that I'd like to take care of while we're right here. And yeah, let's take this thing for a rip. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Man, this list is getting smaller. This thing is ready to rip. Forgot to talk about the catch can because I was in such a rush to get to the dyno. Ended up doing basically what I said, but instead of making a bracket, which saved me a bunch of time, I just threaded a bolt right into the head with like every spacer I had stacked up. And I was going to do it just temporarily, but it really doesn't look half bad. And I mean, this thing is solid. And mounts it perfectly in this spot that I wanted to. You guys saw it on the dyno. It works absolutely perfectly. Dash 10 lines straight off there. One to that valve cover. One to that one back there. Boom. Clean. Good to go. Tighten the shock. Plugged in the ABS sensor. I ended up remaking my mount for the spark plug wires down here. Ended up getting rid of the air pump bracket. It just ended up being more trouble than it was worth. Used the bracket that came with the kit. Wires are all good to go, easy to get to now. Coils are mounted and secure, labeled. Also, my coil harnesses finally showed up. These ones would probably work, but I guess no promises. I thought the last ones would too. But I'm actually just gonna leave the factory ones in there. They clearly work fine. The wires don't seem to be too upset and they tuck up nicely in there. So I'll save these for another project. Also, my Bosch 42-pound injectors finally showed up on Saturday, the day after the dyno. So I don't know. Save these for another project too, I guess, or resell them. If you want to buy some 42-pound OEM Bosch EV1 injectors, let me know. Up here, finally cleaned up all this wiring, tucked everything in real nice. I actually ended up looming the spark plug wires from here around this radius just so they don't rub on anything. Looking real nice and clean. Wires tucked in over here as well. Engine bay is pretty much done, minus a final detail, cleaning up the shock towers, and I think I mentioned in a previous video, I might remove this cruise control module and relocate it to behind the PCM there to just clean up this and final detail, and this thing is going to be slick. Looks good, sounds good, makes a ton of power. What else do you want from an LS1? So I think we're ready. It's dark out now, but I'll catch you guys tomorrow for a test drive. LS at idle never gets old. Man, what a beautiful spring day. Went from a snow squall when I was unloading this thing a couple days ago to it's like 60 degrees right now. Sun's going down. I guess it's not even spring. It's like 2 weeks before spring, but we'll take it here in New Hampshire. You know, dyno days are kind of funny in that they tend to bring up a lot of questions, like, did you tighten that rod bolt? Where did that 10mm socket you dropped go? Is it on maybe the intake valve? Did you put that oil pump on correctly? Is the earth flat? Why do we still have daylight savings? Hopefully, if all goes well, your dyno day has more answers than questions. And in my case this time it did. Started off a little rough with the oil leak there, but I was able to swap on some SVT injectors, Ford parts on a GM LS, and this thing runs awesome. Tightened the shock last night, plugged in the ABS sensor, just cleared the code. The check engine light just came on, but I also just scanned that, and that is for the evap circuit, which I accidentally unplugged last night, so we'll plug that back in, but obviously not going to affect how the car runs at all. But yeah, right now we're out for a drive. This thing drives beautifully with the Strano springs and the factory struts. I know a lot of guys upgrade the struts when they do these, but I just figured I'd see how it rides, and so far it's pretty good. So let's warm up these rotors, then let's try and bed the pads in a little bit, and then you know, just drive this thing. I'm curious to see what kind of what it feels like with about 100 more horsepower than the last time I drove it. There's a big dip in the road right here. Let's see if we get any rubbing. Didn't hear anything, so that's a good sign. Well, we've officially made it farther than last time without catching on fire. And this thing looks good. Phew! front of the car just lifted right up. I'm telling you, man, for a relatively cheap tire, those Lexanis are pretty sticky. Try a second gear stab here. Not too hard on the rotors. Phew! She rips! Woo! Alright, got a decent little straightaway here. Let's do about 60. We're gonna like moderate brake down to like 5. Shabby. We'll keep driving, let the rotors cool, let the brakes cool a little bit. Bayer's going to have their own specific instructions, and that's pretty much what they say, but anytime you're bedding in pads, you basically want to, brake hard, get them nice and hot, and then you don't want to just park the car. You want to, keep driving for a little bit, let those vanes pull in some air and allow the rotors to cool. Do that a few times and you're probably fine. This thing makes all the right noises. Alright, we got another straightaway here. Let's bring it up to 60. Nice. That guy's like, what the heck is that guy doing? Being reckless with his brakes. exhaust is loud, and it definitely does drone at certain RPMs. It does not drone on the highway, 1500 RPM. You can hear T-top and wind noise more than anything, which is just what you want in an F-body. But yeah, merge on the highway there a little bit, just kind of, I don't know, half throttle, granny shifting. I've discovered it is very difficult to shift in work boots. because I got that 2.3 earlier when we were driving there. I also hit the brakes. But yeah, it still feels very, very strong getting on the highway. Sounds insane. Wheels and tires feel great. Everything's good. Successful dyno, successful cam swap, exhaust swap. This thing is going to be a street bruiser. Makes all the right noises. It's going to look insane, and we're going to be getting into that real shortly here. I'm actually heading back to the garage right now to tackle the cosmetics on this thing. We got a lot of work to do, but that is going to be in the next video. If you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I think a good percentage of my viewers are actually not subscribed, so hit that button. It doesn't cost you anything. Help support the channel. Catch you guys in the next one. Downshifts, baby.